Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the specific steps that I would take if I was starting my agency from scratch. If I had a complete clean slate, if I was going for a different niche, a different service, everything, right? I'm going to show you the steps that I would take in order to get the business to the first $100,000 per year. But first, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I help agency owners by documenting all of my learnings on this YouTube channel that currently help me to make multi six figures per year. So the first thing that I would note when it comes to starting a new business is you need to sell something that people actually want, right? And whatever niche you pick, they need to want your service. Now, there's a lot of businesses out there, a lot of agencies out there who target marketing services towards home improvement companies, for example. And so what you start to find is that a lot of these home improvement companies get reached out to all the time, like multiple times on a daily basis. There's certain people who have their phone numbers on a lead finder, and I'd be very surprised if those guys didn't get cold called at least once per day. So the chance that you're going to close them as a client is basically zero. It's just not going to happen. And I think there's a lot of businesses, a lot of niches out there like that, where they're not saturated as stuff, but everyone's trying to sell them the same thing. And the same offer, the same products, the same service, they are saturated inside of that market. And so if you want to sell traditional marketing services, if you want to sell Facebook ads, and sell appointments, then you probably need to pick a niche that either really needs that, then they have a big problem, or it's a niche that no one is really focused on. And so what I would do in a situation like this, there's two things I would either do. I would either, one, find a niche that no one is targeting, an industry that people just don't ever seem to talk about, because there's quite a lot out there, and the ones that people in the Smma space seem to talk about is home improvement, it's real estate, it's gyms, the typical ones. But there's an awful lot of businesses out there that do need marketing services, so I would either target marketing services at that because that's one of my specialties. But if I wasn't doing that, I would basically build a content creation or an inbound style agency. And what I would do here is I would basically make it so that I would either grow someone's YouTube channel, someone's social media page, something along those lines. The reason that I would do that, firstly, because it's something that I actually want to do. So obviously your personal preference is super important to you. If you actually don't want to run ads, or if you just hate inbound, then obviously don't do social media stuff. It's something that I would do. I actually like running my social media pages, actually like trying to grow my inbound channels and get myself to as many subscribers as possible. So I do actually like doing it. But on the other hand as well, it's something that is actually less quantifiable. There's a lot more randomness at play with inbound. Similar to if you run SEO, for example, it's something which is going to require not just 1 month, it's going to require 3, 6, 12 months commitment, right? And so if you're able to sign a business or a person or personal brand to your agency that's doing content, that's doing some kind of inbound play where you're trying to generate business through inbound channels, and you're going to manage that for them, then this is something which they would have to agree with, and everyone would agree with. It takes a long time. It's not just a case where you launch ads tomorrow and then all of a sudden you have lots of appointments coming through and leads coming through. It's a case where obviously you have to build this channel, and sometimes it's going to take months, it's going to take years, and people will commit to that, right? And so if you sign a client for that, of course your monthly payment would be a lot less than it would be if you're going to do advertising on Facebook, for example. But what would happen is you're going to get a long-term commitment from your clients. So if you're able to sign 1 or 2 clients per month, by the end of that year, you're probably going to have like 10 clients, 12 clients, no matter what, because these guys are going to stick around for a while. And so obviously you can get pretty good at that service. It's something that I'm learning right now, so obviously I'm getting a lot better at it. So that's a skill that I have that I would go and do. But that's basically the two options that I would go for. Obviously, there's many different services that you could offer. It doesn't have to be marketing. It doesn't have to be social media. It could be so much stuff. It could be hiring. It could be operations. It could be one specific part inside of a marketing agency's service delivery, right? Like I'm sure if you created a agency which helped other marketing agencies with their service delivery in a very specific part of this, like let's say converting leads into appointments, that's something which a lot of people struggle with. If you were able to do that consistently and you had a lot of testimonials and you built a bit of a business for that, you could probably charge quite a lot for that. So there's many different things you can do, but those are the two things that I would do if I was starting out again. And so the next is in terms of skills. So the one skill that I would focus on, obviously the service is pretty important to actually learn the service, but the one skill that I would focus on is sales. If I was brand new, if I didn't have the skills that I had now, if I was basically just someone who just left high school and I was basically trying to start this business, I would focus all of my attention, about 90% of it, on sales, simply because if you can sell, If you're someone where they have 5 sales calls and you know you're going to convert at least 1 or 2 of them, then it doesn't matter what business you start. You will always have money. You will always have cash coming through the door. This is why sales guys get paid more than most people in the business. The only people that get paid more than salespeople is the founder, usually. But this is because those guys are the ones that bring in the money. If sales drops for all of a sudden, then everything else drops. It's not the same as if appointments drop. It's not the same as if the service delivery and fulfillment drops. If sales drop, if you can't convert those appointments coming in, then that's it, right? The business is just not moving. It's not growing. It's not making any business at all. It's almost like, I think I've said this before, but in football and soccer, when you have a striker, the person, the forward at the end of the pitch, they are often paid the most money. They get a lot of the fame. They get a lot of the plaudits, because if that person is not good, if they don't actually convert, then there's no goals being scored, right? They're the person who's supposed to take on the goals. And so if you have this play that goes through all of the pitch, right, and if you use this analogy for a business, if you're passing the ball all the way along towards the goal, the defense do a good job, the midfield do a good job, the person on the wing do a good job, they put the ball in, the person, then the striker, if they convert every single shot, that team's going to score an awful lot of goals. Just like if that salesperson converts every single call, that business is going to make an awful lot of money. But if that striker, if that salesperson just doesn't perform today, if they just don't perform, or they're just no good in general, then that business is going to score no money. That football team is going to score no goals. And so that's the kind of analogy that I like to use. And so if you become the striker, the salesperson that can convert every single time, that can convert at an awfully high rate, then you will always make money. Because let's say, for example, everyone gets sales calls, right? It's very rare that I speak to a business owner and they don't have any sales calls. They at least have some. They just want more, right? And so if you can convert 50% of your sales calls, which would be a very high sales conversion rate, then you're always going to have clients. It just means about getting someone on the phone and just speaking to them and doing your sales skills, and then you will have clients. And that's all it takes. So I would focus on sales like religiously. It would be the number one thing that I focus on in terms of skills. And the next thing I would do is I would go all in on outbound to begin with. So outbound is basically how I've grown all the businesses that I've had. It's the thing that basically means that I've had a lot of appointments and a lot of success in business so far. And obviously, I'm no doubt I'm going to have more than that. This is just a bit of a starting point. But outbound is the thing that you need when you're starting out, learning how to actually generate appointments, how to generate attention. And so if you can convert, obviously, through your sales skills, you want to make sure that you actually have calls coming in. But it's not okay to just have 1 or 2 calls a week, right? You need to be having 5, 10, 20 calls in a single week. And all that is very possible by being able to find people that could be interested in your services and then actually presenting your offer to them in a way that makes sense for them to go and jump on a call, right? And all this can get tied into the offer, into the actual, the service that you are selling, the people that you're reaching out to, all of this stuff. But fundamentally, it becomes about how to create attention for yourself, how to get someone to actually see your offer. Because if every person in your industry, the industry that you're targeting, sees your offer tomorrow, you're going to have a lot of appointments the next day. Simply because all you have to do is present your offer and say, this is what we can do, and just get people to see it. If you can do that, then you're going to have a lot of appointments. And obviously combining that with the sales skills, you're going to have a lot of clients, right? Now, people go under the sort of weird idea that, and I guess it makes sense from someone who's just starting out, but the idea that you should focus on the service first, right? I'm going to make sure that I understand Go High Level. I'm going to do all my copywriting. I'm going to make sure that I have a media buyer in place, all this kind of stuff, right? And they put a lot of attention on the service before they've actually focused on the number one thing, which is actually closing clients, making money, right? And so if you do that, what's going to start to happen is you basically have a service which is in theory only, because you've never actually served a client. You've never actually had someone that's come through and, they've gone through your process. What you will start to happen is when you do sign that client, eventually they do go through your process, all the planning that you did before just becomes obsolete, because there's one problem or there's a few different problems here that basically render those all useless. And so what you have to do is sort of learn on the job. When you sign a client for the first time, it would probably be for a reduced amount. It won't be for the $3,000, $4,000 you might be hoping for. But what you have to do is then learn on the job, learn what mistakes come up, learn if I do this ad, what happens then? If I do this, what happens then? And all the different parts around your service around, generating leads, turning leads into appointments, or whatever your service might be, right? It doesn't have to be marketing specifically. Whatever it is, you will find those mistakes when you actually start to do it. And so focusing on your service now not only distracts you from actually the thing that matters, which is outbound, which is sales, which is getting appointments and making money and signing clients, but it actually means that you are just basically wasting that time, because eventually when you do come to deliver that service, things will change pretty quickly, and you will realize that all that planning that you did is kind of pointless, because now things have changed, you've noticed a small mistake, and so all that planning is just basically out the window. And so first of all, you need to sign a client first. You need to have an offer that works. You need to have appointments in. You need to close those guys. It doesn't really matter what your service is, who you're reaching out to. You can sell pretty much anything to anyone with the right skills. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but general scheme of things, if you pick an industry and you pick a service that you think someone could be interested in that, you will find someone, right? Obviously, you can find industries and services that are going to resonate with people more, but first of all, you want to sell. You want to figure out how to do this, how to generate business, because once you have this down as well, and once you know how to generate calls, you get someone on the phone and actually sell to that person, and call someone up that you've never spoken to before and get them to send you, hundreds if not thousands of US dollars over the phone, then you can do whatever you want in life. You can start any business. You could literally just cold call for the rest of your life if you wanted to, and make more money than the top 5% people in the world, just because you know how to sell. And this is something which a lot of people don't really realize. And being an agency owner, being an online business owner, just makes you an incredibly good salesperson. And so once you have those skills down and you do basically what I've just said there from the start, you are basically on a foolproof way to go and make 100K in a year. Like it really is impossible to not do that if you have good sales skills and if you know how to book appointments. But yeah, if you're looking for more clients, by the way, then click the first link in the description. There's no email opt-in, there's no text opt-in, there's no, we're not going to ask you for your phone number or anything like that. It's literally just a video of me explaining what my company does, how we've done this many times before, and what we could do for your company. But yeah, I don't care if you click it or not. I'm going to make these videos. Either way, to be honest with you, I have 3 videos scheduled every single week. But yeah, if you like the video, like on it, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.